May the 4th be with you, and welcome back, folks, to #AskGSM, episode 440, here today from May 4th, 2022. I am Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great week. It is officially Star Wars Day today, and we have the Obi-Wan Kenobi show coming out in 3 weeks from, not today, but Friday of this week. So, in 3 weeks from Friday, we get the Obi-Wan Kenobi show coming out. I'm hoping to break it down weekly here on the channel with the rest of the guys on the Next Panel podcast, myself, Chris Mueller, Phil Lindsay. Today we're previewing the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. We recorded it yesterday. I guess a new trailer came out today that I haven't seen yet, and it makes sense they would put out a new trailer on May the 4th, but we have a complete preview. It's not already up here on the channel as you're listening to this right now. It will be shortly, but that will be up today. We have a lot of content coming here to the channel in the next couple of days alone. It's been a very busy time for the channel with WrestleMania and everything else, but, we had #AskGSM obviously right now. You got to check out the Obi-Wan Kenobi preview when you get a chance. WrestleRant radio excerpts tomorrow. I believe I'll be putting up an interview tomorrow and on Friday, so 2 upcoming interviews. Also on Friday, I forgot, maybe the Bubba Ray Dudley Broken Skull Sessions is what I'll be reviewing tomorrow, or on Friday rather. I still have to watch that one before I watch the Cody Rhodes one. I'll be reviewing that at some point in the next week. Saturday is my SmackDown review, Talking Smack review. Sunday I'll be breaking down, or rather my first episode of GSM for GM from my 2K22 My GM playthrough will be up here on the channel. And also live reactions from Backlash, which I'm very likely hoping to be at on Sundays. So it's going to be a fun time. I'm looking forward to Backlash on Sunday and everything else coming up in the next couple of days. We're going to have a Multiverse of Madness review at some point up either next week or the week after. I'm seeing it tomorrow. So I'll be seeing that tomorrow. We got Backlash on Sunday. It's a very exciting time right now, and I could not be any more hyped if I tried. So before any of that, though, we got to answer your questions from Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post that I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below on the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. So we'll get started here first with Noel from Facebook. They got 2 questions. First one being, what would be your top 5 Backlash matches of all time? Great question. I think the number 1 has got to be Foley and Orton from Backlash 04, the no holds barred hardcore match, whatever you want to call it. Fantastic match. Also on that show is Benoit, Shawn, and Triple H in the rematch from WrestleMania 20. That doesn't get talked about nearly enough as nearly not as much as the WrestleMania 20 match a month earlier. That would probably be in the top 5 as well. I'm trying to think of other Backlash matches. From 05, I can't think of many. Certainly not Shawn Michaels and God versus the McMahons at 06. Certainly not that one. I think back to 09. I really love the 09 show. That was my first. I was technically a fan when Backlash 08 happened, but I didn't watch the show. I didn't watch 09 as it aired either. But I just fucking love that show. And specifically, like Edge and Cena had a really good last man standing match, I thought. Jericho and Steamboat, that would probably be my top 5. I know Jericho really enjoyed that match personally. I love that match as well. So that would probably be my top 5, Jericho and Steamboat from Backlash 09. They got rid of it for a while. They brought the pay-per-view back in 2016. They didn't have one in 2019, right? They had one in 2016, 17, and 18. 18, I remember not being a great show. 2018 had that great Miz and Rollins. The rest of that show was trash, but Miz and Rollins from that show, that opener for the Intercontinental Championship, one of my favorite Backlash matches. So, again, I don't know if you're asking me top 5 best or top 5 favorite, but I'm kind of spitting out a bunch here because I can't really narrow it down to just 5, but that would be among my favorite. From 2017, there weren't really any standout matches. Owens and Styles had a pretty good match, but nothing that would be in my top 5. 2016 had that good Ambrose and Styles match in the main event. That saw Styles become champion. And Miz and Ziggler as well, also for the Intercontinental Championship. That was a fantastic show. I'm trying to think what else. If you go back even earlier, Backlash 01, 2000, 2002 were just fantastic shows overall. 01 had a Rock and Austin match on it for the WWE title that a lot of people forget about. Or no, I'm sorry, that was Backlash. It was in 99, it wasn't 01. 01 had like I think the Brothers of Destruction versus the two-man power trip tag team match. I don't remember, but yeah, there's some really good, I mean, I can't remember them all, but there's some really good matches from the early Backlash shows in 99, 2000, and 01. 02, I remember being a good show, and the rest I don't really remember all that much beyond, 04 I mentioned. 03 had some decent stuff as well. I think Backlash is one of the better shows they've ever done, and it doesn't get enough credit. Even in recent years, like in 2020, I know that was in front of nobody, but I thought McIntyre and Bobby Lashley had a really good match. They had a great triple threat, those same two guys, with Braun Strowman last year for the WWE Championship, as well as Roman and Cesaro in the main event. Excellent match. So, yeah, there's been a lot of really, really good Backlash matches over the years. And, yeah, I'm hoping for some more good matches on Sunday. Like I said, I'll be there. So I'm hoping to rewatch some classic Backlash matches before Sunday, if I have the time. Their second question, if you chose one person to teach you magic, would it be Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch? A timely question with Multiverse of Madness coming out on Friday, but I mean, listen, Doctor Strange is great, but how can you go wrong with Scarlet Witch? Everyone loves Scarlet Witch. She's great. She's gorgeous. I mean, how can you not? Don't tell Alexis I said that, but I'm a big Scarlet Witch fan as much as she is. She'd probably agree as well, so I would probably have to go Scarlet Witch on that one. Sorry, Doctor Strange. Although I'm looking forward to the movie on Friday, though, which I know she's going to be a part of as well. Let's see. Going over to the Twitter questions here. I haven't made the doc yet of putting all the questions in the document. So I just haven't had a chance to do that yet, so it's like taking a second to load here. Here we go. First question comes from @RebornAgain, John Ritland from the Twitter Machine. Check out a show here on YouTube as well, Real Honesty with John Ritland. Does great work. His question was, while Raw has been better than SmackDown recently, the formatting is suspect at times, wouldn't you agree? For example, Becky made her entrance with 31 minutes left in the show. By the time the main event started, we had 16 minutes left. What can they do to fix this? This has been a recent issue. They haven't done this forever, but like you said, Raw has been better than SmackDown lately, but the formatting with that type of shit is fucking ridiculous. It's been going on for months now, really for the better part of the year, where they will have someone come out, they'll cut to commercial, like 1 or 2 commercial breaks, no other entrances, just like backstage segments and promos for other stuff, and that person will be standing in the ring for an obscene amount of time. It is completely ridiculous. How do we fix it? It's not fucking doing it. I mean, that is the biggest issue that I have with Raw right now is the timing issues like that. They clearly, no company is better in the world at killing time than WWE. Seriously, when it comes to that type of shit, no one is better. And we've been seeing that for months now on Raw, specifically with the main event, when it looks like it's starting around, 10:30, 10:20, whatever, Eastern time. And then it's still going, like, it hasn't even started by 10:45, which is completely ridiculous. The same thing happened last week and this week and a couple of months ago and a couple of weeks ago. It happens all the time. So, yeah, I really wish they would stop doing that. Again, how they fix it, just stop doing it. And then just listen, if you want to do a backstage segment before the main event, do it. But don't have someone come out and then cut to that shit. Like, I just don't understand why they do that, making people think, the match is starting now when it's actually like 20 minutes later. That's false advertising. It's poor formatting as well. So, yeah, just put the segments before the match and before the entrances and don't do it. It's very dumb. They've been doing it a lot lately, and it annoys me. At Iwagu, we're going to be jumping all over the place here. At Iwagu91, do you suppose for the next Blood and Guts match, it'll be LAX if Homicide and Hernandez agree to compete in the match versus Jericho Appreciation Society? That's what I was thinking as well. I was hoping that Homicide and Hernandez would come on in to do the match. I mean, first, I was going to say from a casual viewer standpoint, how many casual viewers, for one, are really watching AEW? But two, they are not. I mean, Homicide is established in a way in AEW. He's made at least one appearance, I know, at the New York show last year. Hernandez has never been in AEW. I would hope that people know that Santana and Ortiz are that they are aligned, that they had history with LAX from Impact. And they had a great tag team feud back in, I think, 2018, 2019. Did Hernandez and Homicide and Santana Ortiz. They had a series of great matches that year. But I would love to see Homicide and Hernandez come in to do something with them. I know Hernandez just debuted for MLW. I don't know if that would stop him from coming to AEW. I wouldn't think so. And Homicide has been there lately as well, and the NWA doing some other stuff. So I would love to see it. I would love to see LAX get back together with the newer version of LAX in Santana and Ortiz to team with Eddie Kingston. I think that'd be a great fucking team. And Eddie Kingston was very, that storyline I just mentioned with the original LAX versus the new LAX. He was a big part of that. He was the one that turned heel on the new LAX and aligned with the original LAX. So I know Tony Khan's a big Ring of Honor fan and knows his WWE history, but if he knew anything about Impact from the last couple of years, he would know there was history there as well. So I would love to see it. I know they've been teasing, Santana Ortiz and Kingston, you're all outnumbered, blah, blah, blah. There's no team on the main roster, on the AEW roster currently, that to me makes sense to team with those three against Jericho Appreciation Society. We've already gotten the 6-man. It's better than a stadium stampede, which I have no desire to see. No thank you. If we're going to get a blood and guts match, which I also don't really care to see, which I know we got our first one a year ago, tomorrow actually, a year ago this Wednesday, today, we had our first one on Dynamite with the Pinnacle and Inner Circle. Then they would make as much sense as anyone. They don't have to sign to the roster or anything, but for a one-off, I think it'd be cool. Is that going to happen? Probably not, but that's what I would do. At Reborn Again as well, John's second question. Do you think WrestleMania Backlash will be worth watching? It just seems like the card feels blah and phoned in. That's because it is. I mean, they've had time to build to it. The 6-man tag team match is really what I have an issue with. I think it'll be a great match. The problem is that without anything on the line, how can we really give a fuck? How can we really care? So... yeah, I just feel like that would really need stakes. If that goes on last, then I don't even know. I mean, for as cold as the feud has been, Charlotte and Ronda has got to be the main event. It's an I Quit match, and it's currently the only title match on the show. So how is that not the main event? I think that'll be better than the Mania match, hopefully. The rest of the show, listen, I'm looking forward to it as far as, I think there's going to be a lot of good matches on the show. Will it be worth watching? I honestly, in a nutshell, probably not. I don't think it'll be one of their better pay-per-views. I don't feel like it's going to be must-see. With only one title on the line, how can it really feel all that important if there's no consequences for anything, except for the one SmackDown. They have 1 million titles in this company, and we only have one championship match on Sunday. I mean, that's ridiculous. So... no, it kind of feels like a transitional pay-per-view before they get to Hell in the Cell, and more importantly, Money in the Bank, and then SummerSlam and the UK show Clash at the Castle. So, I don't think it'll be an overly important pay-per-view. I think it'll be a solid wrestling show, but nothing you'll be clamoring to see or be disappointed that you weren't watching live for, in my opinion. I hope I'm wrong and it's an amazing show, but I'm not really sure how it can be if there's not a lot of consequences and nothing really of importance on the line of this pay-per-view, for the most part. Back to at Iwagu91, their question was, with Roderick Strong wanting out of WWE, do you think he'll sign with AEW to reunite with Cole and Red Dragon or return to Ring of Honor? For starters, we know that it came out yesterday that they denied the request. So as of right now, he's still in NXT and he's not going anywhere. And... listen, I know he signed a deal, and if they have plans for him, then I get it, but I would hope that whenever this storyline with him and the rest of Diamond Mine is over, they will honor his request and let him go. I mean, I honestly understand he might be the one exception, because all the other people like Ali, they had no fucking plans for him. If you have no plans for him and he's just sitting at home doing nothing, then let him go. But Strong is pretty much almost always on the show, never winning, but he is managing Diamond Mine and all this other shit. So he is playing a pretty integral role to their story right now with them, as seen on Tuesday's NXT. When that runs its course at some point, I would let him go, but that's just me. So if and when he does leave the company, whenever his contract is up, will he go to AEW? Probably. I mean, Tony Khan's is a big original Ring of Honor fan as far as the ROH originals. I'm shocked that he hasn't brought in Cesaro yet, but that might still be coming at some point. Strong, I almost said Strati. Roddy on his own is not going to be anyone of importance on that show. Like I said, the same thing about Kyle O'Reilly. I love Kyle O'Reilly. I love Roddy Strong, but the problem is that AEW has so many talented performers, a lot like them, that deserve to get a TNT title run over those guys, is that it's just not going to happen. So with that being said, I feel like that's why they've really hit the nail on the head with Kyle O'Reilly, and that he's a tag team guy, so it makes sense. Roddy should also be in that conversation. Literally just reunite the entire Undisputed Era in AEW. I'm not even kidding. That's what I would do. They already have the other three guys together, so why not the fourth? And I know he was the last one to join Undisputed Era in WWE anyway, so it would actually make sense if he came in and joined the Undisputed Era as the final member in AEW. What they would call it, I don't know. I know they're currently calling the Super Faction Undisputed Elite. I don't know if they would use that, but they're not technically the Elite, so they would have to come up with something else. But yeah, for now, I think that'd be a cool name to go with as far as, I mean, for right now, it's a cool name to go with, but it would be a cool idea to run with as far as Roddy in the Undisputed Era reunited in AEW. As far as whether he goes to AEW or Ring of Honor, it's the same thing. Anyone in Ring of Honor is also technically in AEW, so I'm not really worried about, if he goes to the Ring, like he probably should be more of a Ring of Honor guy, but while also making appearances in AEW. So on the actual AEW roster, I assume he'd get lost in the shuffle, but if he was more of a Ring of Honor mainstay like a Brian Cage seems to be when that hopefully gets back up and running again, because we haven't seen Brian Cage since Supercard of Honor. He returned on that show. He has not even been mentioned since then, so I'm not really sure what's going on with him. I know Ring of Honor is not running any shows currently, but you would think they would have at least aired a fucking promo for the guy on Dynamite or something, and maybe they didn't, I missed it. But either way, Roddy and Ring of Honor, AEW, it's all under the same umbrella, so it really doesn't matter. But I also ultimately do think that's where he's headed, and he probably should be given his history with those guys in Undisputed Era. Back to John Ritland here. His next question was, do you think Kushida will head back to New Japan Pro Wrestling? If so, do you think they could actually feature him outside of the junior heavyweight division like he was previously? Yeah, for one, I do think he's headed back to New Japan. I don't really want him in AEW. I mean, I do, but he would get so lost in the shuffle in AEW. I mean, they don't have a Cruiserweight Championship. He could be a good solid mid-card guy, but the problem is that they already have so many people like that. It would be such a waste of he would probably do worse there than he did in NXT. And I liked his NXT run. He did well for the most part, but he would not be featured nearly as much. So he's just better off going back to Japan. Him and Impact would be cool. Impact works with New Japan, so I know Jonas kind of here in Impact for right now. Kushida doing something similar would be fucking cool. I would love to see that. Kushida competing for the X Division title, that'd be awesome. Ultimately, I do think he's headed back to Japan full time. And what should he do there? Yeah, that's really the thing. I know he's like a king of, not the cruiserweights, but a king of the junior heavyweight division. He's held that championship a number of times. I'd rather he move on from that. I mean, he was doing that so every New Japan show I would watch, he'd be competing for that fucking title. And that's why I kind of liked in NXT, they kind of featured him above the cruiserweight title for a while. He was the cruiserweight champion and had a good reign last year. But beyond that, they didn't really do a hell of a whole lot with him. And what I meant, they didn't do a hell of a whole lot with him, but they did feature him in the North American title level. He was in that mid-card title picture for a little while, and he was more than just a cruiserweight. So I would like to see him do something similar in New Japan. Maybe go for that. And now they have a U.S. championship. I guess they had that when he was there the first time as well, but I would rather see him in the Intercontinental U.S. title mix over there as opposed to just being a junior heavyweight, which is what he kind of did to death before he left. And that was part of the reason why he left, because he was doing the same thing, and he wanted the new challenge. And I'm glad he took that challenge, and he saw if it worked. He left on his own, because it's like, hey, this ain't working out, and he left on his own accord. I think that's great. But now it's time to go back to Japan and kind of get a change of scenery and hopefully do something different. That's what I would have him do. That's what I would like to see him do, rather. In addition to maybe run an Impact, I think that'd be really cool as well. Him and Trey Miguel and Steve Macklin, people like that, I think would be awesome. So hopefully we get to see that. At Iwagu91's next question, do you think Cody Rhodes will challenge Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship? We've talked about it a lot here on the show as far as Will Cody Rhodes be the one to beat Roman? I think he should be. He likely will be unless they put it on Drew, which is also a possibility. I think he will challenge Roman. Whether he wins or loses, he will face Roman at some point. I guarantee you. They've been bringing up the whole world title thing so much with Cody that I'd be shocked if they didn't go in that direction, unless they just change plans, which is always possible as well. You said the WWE title. Like, would they have him go for just the WWE title? Would he win the Undisputed title? Will he just go for the Universal? I don't know. If they're going to keep one belt, which I don't think they will, then obviously just have him win that. If you're going to separate the two titles, I know the WWE title is what his father didn't win, but the Universal title is the one that Roman's been holding for, 600 days now? 600 plus days? I mean, when he loses that title and ends that reign, that's really what's big to me. They can have Drew win the WWE title. I know the whole story is there with the Dusty Rhodes and the WWE title thing. I don't really think it matters what the fucking title is. I'd rather just see him as world champion, period. And I would rather see him be the one to end Roman's reign as Universal Champion and not the WWE title that Roman's held for all of a month. So that's what I would have Cody, if they're going to have one title, then have him beat him for both belts or whatever. If they were going to eventually separate it again, I don't know how they're going to do that. Then of the two, I would have it be the Universal, because I feel like that one would mean more that Roman's been holding now for almost 2 years. Next question comes from @KyleRochelle19. Their question was, Roman Reigns as a double champion has been very boring. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but the guy is in a meaningless tag team match on Sunday. At least Becky lost her SmackDown championship the next month. With no direction, why should I care about Roman Reigns? Listen, I'll answer the other question that was sent in by at Supersonic X 1991. He said something similar as well as far as Roman being a double champion. Yeah, not that it's boring, but they just haven't really done anything with it is the problem. I'll answer his question as well. Or noob_n_co 1991. He changed his username back. He also asked, is everyone starting to get bored of Roman Reigns as the tribal chief? Because the whole acknowledge me thing is turning into another meme. As far as who will Roman drop the WWE title in Universal 2 and why. So, kind of similar question. I'll answer it in one here. To go off of my previous answer, I think Roman should lose both belts to Cody Rhodes. If they're not going to keep them together, maybe Cody wins them both and then relinquishes one of them. I don't know. I do think Cody should be the first person to beat Roman Reigns. I do. I really do. I don't know where that happens, but I do think it should happen. I do think Cody Rhodes should be the one to beat Roman Reigns. I just think it makes the most sense. You can make a case for Drew as well, but I just feel like Cody would benefit more from being the first one to beat Roman as opposed to the second, or it being Drew or whatever. Is it getting boring? I'm not bored of the Roman Reigns stuff yet, and it's not his fault, I don't think, but it felt like, and I talked about this recently, the storyline with Brock culminated at Mania. And then after they gave Roman all the titles, they kind of thought to themselves, okay, what's next? And I don't understand the logic of giving him both titles and then not having either one defended on the following pay-per-view. I mean, of all times, to not have a Universal title match, you're doing it on a show that has no WWE title match. I mean, that's ridiculous. And they can't keep doing that. I know he'll probably defend it at Hell in a Cell and all the other stadium shows, and that's fine. There really is no reason for that match on Sunday to not be a winner-take-all match. I mean, honestly, it's ridiculous. So, they gotta... I'm not really a fan of Roman being a dual champion. I just don't think it's necessary. The whole two-belt shit, I think, is very dumb. If they're not going to unify the titles as they claim that they would, I don't know why they're doing it. And even if they did, I feel like it's still a dumb idea. So, yeah, he should not be a dual champion right now. I'm not completely bored of Roman, but we're in the phase now where you have to figure out what's next. He went from building up the character to reigning dominant, and now we're at a point, we have reached a point with Roman where we have to start figuring out, okay, who is going to be the one to beat Roman Reigns, and who can we start building up right now? If it's Cody, then great, and they have a time in mind for when Cody's going to beat him, then awesome. If not, they're in some serious shit, because you can't have Roman be champion forever with no endgame in mind. If you have no endgame, that is a problem. And they just so happen to stumble upon Cody Rhodes, And if it wasn't Cody Rhodes, it probably would be, and it could still be, Drew. But Cody Rhodes came into the company after leaving AEW, and they have this opportunity now to crown Cody the champion, and I think they should. I would be disappointed if it's not, because it just makes the most sense to have it be Cody, especially with how over he is right now. So we got to get to the next step. I'm not saying, oh, Roman's boring or we're in the reign of terror and all this other shit. I can see why people would start to make those comparisons, but I'm still very much entertained and very much into whatever he's doing right now. It's just that they really haven't had him doing a whole lot. He's not really on TV a whole lot, Roman is. And if he wasn't champion, that'd be fine, but he's now not only a champion, but he's holding both world titles, and he's barely on the show. And he doesn't even have a title match scheduled anytime soon. That's a problem. So I agree with the criticism surrounding that, and hopefully they can figure that out coming out of the pay-per-view. But again, there really is no excuse as to why they don't have a title match on Sunday's show as far as the world titles are concerned. At Kyle Rochelle 19, again, their second question. What's next for Bianca? I know that Becky and Asuka, Rhea, and Liv are tied up, but Becky, Rhea, and Asuka are threats to Bianca on Raw. I know Liv had a main event win on Raw, but it's sad to say because I'm a Liv Morgan fan, but I fear that she will never be champion. You know, I've seen people say that, especially the women's division that has a lot less women in that division. I feel like even if I don't want to say everyone wins that title at some point. I mean, everyone does win a title, even if it's a meaningless championship like the tag titles or the 24/7 title. I don't want to say everyone wins the main women's titles at some point, because Dana Brooke has never been the women's champion, and neither is Tamina. But I feel like they're so awful, why would they be? I feel like if you're talented enough and you're there long enough, they will eventually give you that championship. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I think Liv can be a good champion. I still feel like she's improved enough to where she probably will be champion at some point. I have not completely given up on Liv Morgan, like, oh, she'll never be champion. It's different with the women than the men, because the men, there's so many more people. And if you miss your spot, or they miss their opportunity to make you champion, it's a lot less likely you will regain that momentum again, because other people will, kind of surpass you on that pecking order. With the women, same thing, but there's a lot less women, so there's more opportunity there for someone that hasn't won the championship yet to win the title at some point. Like Bianca, I mean, she's a star, but Rhea, I can guarantee you, will be a singles women's champion again. Bianca's champion right now. I'm trying to think of who on either show should be like. I mean, again, I wouldn't put the belt on fucking Queen Zelina, but she's also not that over, and she's not as good as Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan is far better, so I think Liv Morgan will be champion at some point. I know she's lost a lot. Unless she leaves the company or gets cut, which again is always possible in this current climate in WWE, maybe I'll have egg in my face. I'm not saying she will be champion, but I think there's a pretty good chance that she could be at some point down the road, maybe when one of the four horsewomen gets hurt again, or they're just not there, or whatever. I feel like there's a good chance of Liv Morgan being champion at some point in the not too distant future. So, well, maybe not this year, but I feel like at some point, if she were to win Money in the Bank and then cash in, listen, if Nikki fucking Ash can get a title shot, and I like Nikki Cross, the Nikki Ash shit was awful. If they put the belt on Nikki Ash, albeit for a month, there is still hope for Liv Morgan. I will say that much. Next question here. I think we might only have one more. I'm just double checking. Or we have two more. One again from Noob _N_Co 1991. Their question was with Becky. She mentioned that Asuka didn't hold up her end of the deal. What does that mean? Did Asuka drop the Raw Women's title twice or something else? Or I want to hear Asuka's side of the story, and maybe we might get some answers from her. I love the fact that Becky tied in her current issues with Asuka to when, Becky left in 2020, gifted Asuka the championship. And, I don't know what she means exactly. It's probably just her wanting to acknowledge it and wanting to find a reason to be mad at her. Maybe it was the fact that, hey, listen, take my title, treat it well, all this other shit. And she did have a lengthy reign the second time she was Raw Women's Champion. But then she also disappeared, and it's not like Asuka was made the new face of the Raw Women's division. I mean, she was during the pandemic. But after that was over, she disappeared for a while, and we haven't seen her in like 9 months. So maybe that's what she means. I don't know what she means exactly, but the fact that even made that connection at all and acknowledged that is great. Because they don't ordinarily do that sort of thing, so when they do, I appreciate it. And, I would like to hear from Asuka as well. And as I said last week, we need a more serious side of Asuka back. I don't want to hear a rebuttal from Asuka talking about, or not even talking, like just rambling and singing and dancing. It was entertaining for like a month, but it's been fucking annoying ever since. And I've seen Asuka cut promos on the shows before and even on her fucking YouTube channel. She can speak, not perfect English, but it's good enough to where she can cut a promo. I just feel like Vince thinks, oh, she's of Asian descent, she can't cut a promo. Let's just have her do random Japanese, I don't want to say gibberish. It's not that it's the fact that she's speaking Japanese isn't bad. It's the fact that they make her sound like, and they make it seem like she can only speak Japanese. You know what I mean? And she can't speak English, and all she does is ramble. It feels like they're just applying every Japanese stereotype to this woman. And they do that with all their Asian talent. They do it with a lot of other, minority talent in that company. They do it a lot. WWE is notorious for it, and it's awful. And I feel like Asuka is the worst example of it right now. Nakamura to an extent too, but even Asuka's English is better than Nakamura's. And they just do not let Asuka cut any real promos beyond, oh, are you ready for Asuka? Like, we know she can say more than that. We know she can speak. So please just let her speak and not fucking sing and dance every 2 seconds. And then just yell and no one knows what she's saying. I just hate that they have her do that. Unless it's her idea, and maybe it is, and I think it's stupid, but anyway. I would like to hear what Asuka has to say as well, and hopefully we find out next week on Raw. Final question from @RJ_Marceau, my brother. His question was, does Mandy Rose deserve more credit as NXT Women's Champion? Yeah, honestly, I do. I don't think the women's division has been overly great since NXT 2.0 switched over. It's been pretty awful, honestly. Listen, they're trying to make new stars in Cora Jade. I think she has a lot of potential. I think Roxanne Perez, whatever, she has a lot of potential. They're good. Elektra Lopez is not good. The Nikita Lyons and Lash Legends so far are not good. They're trying to focus on these women, and I think it's great, but they're just not ready for TV yet, and it's making for really bad matches. Stratton has gotten better. The gimmick sucks, but, she's not great in the ring. She's barely, she's improving. She's getting better, but it's going to take time. So the women's division compared to where it was even a year ago is just well worse off, like significantly worse off. It was a steep and quick decline from where it was previously. And they're not bringing in many established talent for the females anymore, and all the established female talent they had are gone. Either they got called up or fired. And it's just a shame to see where it is now, especially with all the, all the sex emphasis and shit like that, all the focus on, like even last night on NXT, like all the zoom-ins. Listen, I know Toxic Attraction, that's their gimmick, but all the zoom-ins on the bodies and stuff like that, like, listen, I know every guy's not complaining about that. I understand that, but as far as how these women are portrayed on the regular, it's not good. It's all ass shots and boob shots every fucking show. And again, I know it's the gimmick with Toxic Attraction, but they take it a step too far, and it's just such a steep, and like they've done bitchy heel female groups before in NXT that were not what this was. I mean, this is just completely, what's the word I'm looking for here? Objectifying women. It's just not good. It's not good television. So, that being said, Mandy Rose, though, has had the best run of her career so far. I think she's had a great run. She's had some of her best matches so far, which aren't great. I thought the Kaylee rematch wasn't that good, but the 4-way at Stand and Deliver was good. The Roxanne match last week might have been Mandy Rose's, honestly, best match to date, and that was all Roxy, but it was a very good match. The match in which she won the belt from Raquel Gonzalez was good. The 3-way at, New Year's Evil was good. So, yeah, I feel like she deserves more credit. She's not, I don't know if she would be the best part of the division. She probably would be, but, for Mandy Rose, who they really weren't doing a whole lot with in the main roster, shockingly, they had the feud with her and Sonya. Before that, they weren't doing shit with Mandy, and she had been on the main roster for years. And then even after the Sonya storyline ended, they were, again, not doing anything with that woman. And not that Mandy Rose is the best worker of everyone in that division, but, she's a very attractive woman, and she has a presence about her. She looks like a star, and they weren't doing shit with her. So I'm glad they are now. She's killing it in her current role. She's getting better in the ring. I think from the character standpoint, she's doing a great job. It's just that the rest of the division isn't overly great, especially compared to where it once was, even 6 months ago. So, Mandy Rose deserves more credit for sure. I agree with that. His second question, should Solo Sequoia be the one to take the IC title off of Ricochet? Interesting. I I don't think so. I just don't think Solo's ready yet. Listen, if he popped up tomorrow in the Bloodline, I would not complain. He might be getting called up. He got pinned again on NXT last night, so it's possible. Does he need to be? I mean, I think you're saying that because you want to see all the Bloodline as champions. Listen, I'm not complaining. I'm not saying should he be. I'm going to say no. Would I want to see that? Yeah, I think that'd be fine. I don't know if Solo's ready for that yet, but fuck it, why not? I only say no because the other two people that come to mind that I would rather see beat Ricochet for the title are either Sheamus, who has never held that championship before and needs it to become a Grand Slam champion or whatever, or a Triple Crown or both or whatever. Sheamus or Gunther. Gunther and Ricochet I feel like would be a lot of fun with Ricochet selling for Gunther and the chops and everything. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So I'm going to go either Gunther or Sheamus next. I know, you want to see the entire Bloodline as champions. That's fine. I just don't know if Solo is ready for that yet. So you got someone named Solo in a group. Kind of defeats the purpose. He's been saying if NXT is supposed to be canon, and we've seen these people on the main roster before, so we are supposed to believe that what happens on NXT now does matter and it will carry over to the main roster. If that's true, then why would he say 1 week, oh, I don't need a faction, I don't need to be with my Samoan brethren, whatever, and then join said group the following week? I don't know. Would it be cool? Yeah, again, I'd be all for it. I would pop if I saw him pop up and, he helped them win on Sunday or he won the IC title. I wouldn't complain. I just feel like there's other people that should probably be champion before him that are already on the roster, that are already established. And that championship that Ricochet holds means nothing anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So it would be cool for that visual alone. But as far as his development goes, I would not have him win that championship just yet, and I would not have him get called up just yet. Again, wouldn't complain if he did, but I feel like there are other people on SmackDown they're not really doing a whole lot with right now that would make more sense for that role right now, coming off of Ricochet's reign, than Solo Sequoia, whatever the fuck they call him. I call him Sequoia. I know it's Sequoia, but whatever. Solo. He will be in the main roster at some point, and I do hope at some point he is interacting with the Bloodline. I just don't know that needs to be right now. I would rather see Naomi join before him. Naomi is with Sasha, but she's on SmackDown too. And when that, tag team runs its course, maybe they turn Naomi heel instead of Sasha, and she joins the Bloodline. I would not be upset at that at all. I feel like that'd be cool. Because, she's already married to one of the Usos, and it makes sense for her to join. I'm shocked they haven't done it already. And that's going to do it, guys, for episode 440 here today of #AskGSM for, again, May the 4th. Be with you. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Thank you, as always, for sending in the questions. If you want to send in a question, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Drop a comment/question on the post that I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Like I said, I'll probably be watching Star Wars later in honor of May the 4th. Dynamite tonight, obviously. And then Multiverse of Madness tomorrow, which will fall on the exact 10-year anniversary from when I saw the first Avengers movie in theaters. And that was really what got me into the MCU to begin with. So it's going to be a special day, and I'm looking forward to it. So have a great one, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.